Aeneas Williams is the first player from the 1991 draft to be selected to the Hall of Fame. Despite playing just 1 year of college football at Southern University, the third-round pick of the Cardinals led all NFL rookies in interceptions. He quickly earned a reputation as a shutdown corner. And in 1994, with Buddy Ryan as his head coach, he led the league with a career-high 9 interceptions.
Spectacular interception in the end zone by Aeneas Williams.
The '94 season began a run of 5 straight Pro Bowl trips for Williams. And in 10 seasons in Arizona, Williams never missed a game. He was durable and dynamic.
Does intercept the far side of the field. Aeneas Williams, he's going to score.
This is the next step, and we gotta have it.
It took 8 years for Williams to finally play in a postseason game. Against the Dallas Cowboys in the 1998 wildcard round, he made up for years of frustration.
Is intercepted at the 40-yard line.
Williams' 2 interceptions helped the Cardinals win their first playoff game since 1947.
The man right here, they throwing him 2 times to get 2 picks. That's big time.
In 2001, Williams was traded to the St. Louis Rams, where he made a switch to free safety. For someone who visited the playoffs so infrequently, he certainly made the most of his opportunities.
Aeneas Williams down the sideline, and he's in for another touchdown.
Williams had 2 pick sixes in the Rams' 2001 win over Green Bay. And the following week in the NFC Championship game, he helped punch their ticket to the Super Bowl with a game-sealing interception.
Intercepted by the Rams. It's Aeneas Williams. What a play by the All-Pro.
His career stats paint the picture of one of the game's premier defensive backs. 12 defensive touchdowns, 55 career interceptions, 4 All-Pro selections. The cornerback position has evolved since Williams' arrival to the NFL. And you can't trace the history of its rise to a glamour position without Aeneas Williams.
Welcome back to the Journey Podcast, and I got on my show with me here today, Aeneas Williams, and I'm about to really shout you out, man. So I got a list of things I gotta say because the resume is long. Aeneas Williams is a Pro Football Hall of Famer, class of 2014. That's the year I graduated high school, so
Wow.
pump it up for that. Black College Football Hall of Famer, class of 2016. Phoenix Cardinals 3rd-round pick in the class of 1991. He played 14 seasons in the NFL, and I caught some of his highlights, and they say he ain't missed 1 game. So he Mr. Durable.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, he the LeBron James of football.
Michael Jordan.
Right. Oh, we ain't gonna have that debate right now. We're not gonna have that right now. You know, it's always LeBron. It's always LeBron. He had a Super Bowl appearance. He's an 8-time Pro Bowler, and he was actually voted All Decade for the 1990s. So he a whole decade. People say he one of the best players to ever do it. 10 years straight, a market consistency that is insane at the highest level of competition, man. So that's something to, like, man, really tip the hat off to, man. That's what's up. Outside of the gold jacket, of course.
Yeah.
And he's a Southern University alum.
The Southern University.
The Southern. Usually people say the Ohio State.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I got it from my teammate Orlando Pace, who played at Ohio State. So there's always a running joke when I'm around him. It's the Southern University, historical black college university.
Okay, that's what's up. So here on the Journey Podcast, Aeneas, we just talk about your journey. You walk through your life, the ups and downs, the hills, the valleys, and I'm gonna just talk about how it looked like Jesus intersected his way into all in the mix of that. So you lead the way, man. Where do you want to start?
Well, I first start by saying thank you. Thank you. One of the things that the scriptures tell us is let someone else flex for you, not yourself, right?
Yeah.
But those things, this is important, me being here at Malone University, because my life was impacted and changed, and I gave my life to Jesus Christ my junior year in college. So to be here at a time of formative years is almost like, you guys know, Tamiko, y'all once you get to the university, the next step is adult.
Yeah.
Right? So,
real quick.
Exactly, yeah. And just talking to the different generations, man, I'm excited because I had no idea coming into Southern University my freshman year that I would have the opportunity to play in the National Football League, and certainly that I had potential in me to be one of the best to play the game. Because I don't know if you know, but I walked on my junior year a week before the season started. And I gave my life to Christ that summer.
Wow.
And I didn't get an internship with Cargill, a Fortune 500 company. And I'm saying all of this to say because the universities never was supposed to be find a degree where you can make money.
Right.
It was supposed to be education means to draw out. So it's supposed to mean find your purpose.
Right.
And then whatever your purpose is, find a degree along that path. And that's what happened to me. It changed my life.
That's what students struggle with right now the most, I would say, is that they don't know what their purpose is. They don't know what their calling is. So they kind of just wander around. Even if they decided a major, they're even still unsure about their major. Like, do I really want to be a teacher the rest of my life? Do I really want to be a nurse the rest of my life? Like, what do I actually want to do? What would I enjoy? And I've definitely noticed that is the struggle, and that's what educates you. Absolutely right, man. It's supposed to pull that purpose out. And so there's some kind of disconnect going on where students ain't getting that pull to where they can really start walking in purpose. So, man, lead us from there, man.
Well, I'm glad you're saying that because it's become a struggle, but it's only become a struggle because we haven't at young ages instilled into young people they have the ability to discover themselves. And particularly in the younger generation, there's a lot of distractions, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the social media, which I'm all for. But the greatest person that you'll ever meet is yourself. So I'll give you a couple of examples.
Yeah, let's get a look in that mirror, man.
I grew up in New Orleans. I'm from the same area, Lil Wayne, all of us from Holly Grove area in New Orleans. Birdman, if some of the younger people know, we went to school together.
Oh, wow.
And my dad's the first college graduate on both sides of the family. So I started playing football at 4 years old. After when I finished high school, I didn't get recruited. It was like over, and I'm the youngest of three boys.
Yeah.
And in my formative years, I never had to look outside my house for a role model. So from my dad, my mother, and my two older brothers. But I still had no purpose. And my parents sent me and my two older brothers to church. And it didn't make sense, man. I really don't think at that time the pastor or the church was really thinking about the people that were in there besides the regular attenders.
Yeah.
So there was a lady that, her name is Nanny Tate, I'll never forget her. That church, Prayer Tower, had a ministry for foster care children. So they would get foster care children, and they had a home for them. But this lady would also go around the community of that church and ask and pick up kids. And you can imagine parents getting a chance to get rid of the kids for about 3 hours.
Right, yeah, let me get a break.
Go in there, right? Yeah. So we went, and this is how I do ministry. My wife and I pastor a church now. But I always focus on everyone that's there. Like, if somebody's distracted, and we got thousands that come. But if I see somebody and they're not paying attention, I'll change my voice inflection. I'll do something just to catch people's attention. Yeah. Because I wanted somebody to do that for me when I got saved. So I'd never gotten saved in a church. I'm almost sure we got nuggets planted on the inside.
For sure.
Yeah.
His word doesn't land, like, it's not empty. It doesn't return to him empty. So it's like, I feel you, man. I didn't get saved in church either, but I know along the way, all them seeds, all them boring sermons, they took some roots somewhere, and then in my mama's room with the door locked, something happened. So I feel you, man. That's real. Yeah. I feel like it's not for you because whoever talking at the time, I don't know, they just had some type of disconnect with me, but God is the connection, and it take time, but it happened. It starts sprouting eventually. So I feel you with that, for real.
So still not getting born again. So still just my parents. Let's go back to my dad. So dad, first generation college graduate. Mom ran out florist. We're one of the few minorities in the state of Louisiana to have a floral license. So education was huge. So when I didn't get recruited coming out of high school, it's time to go to school. It's time to get ready for it's a real life.
Yeah.
But fortunately, I had big brothers. And man, my brother Achilles, get that right?
Yeah, that's crazy.
Greek names.
Yeah.
He was my guy. So literally, all I did with Tamiko was I didn't really think about purpose. I didn't think about anything other than get to Southern University. That's where Achilles was. My dad attended there as well. Grab his coattail and do whatever he does. It didn't matter. I ain't thinking about purpose. All I'm thinking about, grab his coattail, and he gonna take me somewhere positive.
Yeah.
Right. So right after when we graduated in May I graduated in May from high school. He's 18 months older than me, 2 grades ahead. So he's already at Southern, already has an apartment. So now I graduate in May. I'm immediately in June in summer school. I'm in an apartment with my brother. This is it, right? It's like
we
what?
turn, yeah. We on our own together, yeah.
Yeah. So
I know how that feel.
And to anybody hear this podcast, man, I was a great follower. Because a lot of people want to be leaders, but to really be a great leader, it behoove one to become a great follower.
You know, it's so insane that you say that because I'm a resident director, so one of my resident assistants, he said everybody wants to be a leader, but we really need some follower training, Tamiko. And I'm like, you know what, you're right, man. We ain't got no follower training. Yeah. So that's wild.
Everybody wants to flex, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we all are born to flex. We all are stars. Just some stars shine brighter.
Yeah.
But the ability to trust my brother, man, I just did everything he did. He majored in accounting. I majored in accounting. He was involved in Student Government Association. I got involved. I ain't like none of that stuff.
Right.
I have
boring.
I have a degree in accounting, man. I don't even like numbers, right? But my parents taught us hard work, and I learned you can work hard at the wrong things.
Right.
And I learned that life is not about chronologically getting older. It's not how old you are, it's have you ever lived.
Mm.
And so because we were going school year-round, summer school included, Achilles graduated in 3.5 years. And I was on pace to graduate in 3. After he graduated, he called me. He said, little brother, slow down. You're going to be working the rest of your life. So all of a sudden, this summer, going into my junior year, I interviewed with Cargill, Fortune 500 company in Minneapolis. The on-campus interview went extremely well.
Yeah.
And I thought the plant visit there went extremely well, only to find out 2 weeks later they sent a letter and said, we won't be offering you an internship.
Dang.
Yeah. And this one I learned, Tamiko, I learned the power of answered prayer when it's not answered.
Mm.
When I didn't get that internship, I was down. I cried because a lot of my friends got internships. But I didn't know I was going to give my life to Jesus Christ that summer.
Mm.
I went to a church in New Orleans while I was home, and it was the first time I really heard the gospel where the pastor really helped me understand in a practical level at my level. And I gave my life to Jesus Christ. And I said, God, after I got saved, I said, God, if you're real, show me how you relate to us in everyday life.
Mm.
He taught me 2 things immediately. He says, Aeneas, I create everyone with a purpose, and I speak to people's hearts. So once I didn't get the internship, it entered into my heart to go walk on the football team. Now, they've already been practicing. This is a week before the season.
That's crazy. No camp.
No camp.
No
They've
nothing.
already been practicing 5 weeks or 2 days, right?
Got their starters already.
Exactly. They're already there, man. And it made no sense. I didn't tell my boys, and I didn't tell my parents. Nobody knew. I just got this voice in my heart. Go see if you can walk on the football team. So I go, and I like to do this. So this like quotation, like just so happened. But it's not just so happened. It's not just so happened.
It's God.
It's God moving, right?
Yeah.
And I use that because people, man, is that God? Yeah, that's God, right?
Yeah.
So I go, and they give me the worst equipment. My teammates hated me.
Yeah, who is this dude?
Yeah, who is this dude? And I'm running around like I was born to be here. I'm not tired. I'm nothing. So they mad. And then just so happened the position I was going out for, the coach was trying to replace the guy.
Wow.
So I ended up starting by the 5th game of the season. And then I told my parents. And from that point on, I learned that was part of my purpose, right? That was my passion point. And that's what I would encourage every college student: find your passion. And once you find your passion, man, it's no longer, you ain't got to motivate me.
Right. It's crazy how you walk through all that. You said I was working hard at the wrong thing.
Yes, sir.
But it's crazy, man. The Lord be teaching lessons, man. But
Family, don't scroll so fast. Comment down below all my videos. If my content blesses you, man, comment below. Share. I got full videos on all platforms. But join me with millions of others in advancing God's kingdom, man. His kingdom come, His will be done. Man, Maranatha cry, man. My King is coming. Man, join us. Flood the algorithms. Spread this good news because it's the truth. And He's coming. Amen. Amen.
Man, but you was working hard though, consistently in majors that like accounting is difficult.
You're right. Yeah.
And you said you don't even like numbers, but you did it. And so like you got this thing in your brain that's developing. Like, yo, I'm doing stuff I don't like to do, but I'm gonna get it done, and I'm gonna get it done well.
Yeah.
And now you walk on to something football. Football is like love football as a kid, growing up, and now you like, oh yeah, I worked hard at that. I can work hard at this. And it's only, everyone always says, man, football, it's a long season. Some guys get discouraged, and if they don't start the first game, they like, man, they put their head down and they'll walk through the rest of the season going through the motions. But it seems like you turned it up. You said, oh yeah, it's only a matter of time. Like, I'm going to keep going hard every single day. That's a testimony of like just God training you. It's a difference between, I want to say, God exalting you.
Yeah.
I think people try to fight for His exaltation, but like He like, nah, bro. Like, I do this. Like, I raise you up. And I'll put you down if you need put down too. But that sounds like He raised you up, man. That's fire.
You know, the beautiful thing to also be able to see God moving in people's lives who may never acknowledge God, that He's moving in their lives. And one of the guys I believe is Tom Brady, and I believe that because at the University of Michigan he was sixth string,
Right.
and was thinking about transferring. And Bo Schembechler, the coach at that time, was ahead of his time because he hired a counselor at the University of Michigan, and every freshman had to go meet with him. And a guy, Greg Harden, I think Greg just passed away if I'm not mistaken. So every freshman had to go see him. And Tom wanted to see him. And Tom asked Greg, he said, can you help me become the starting quarterback at the University of Michigan? And Greg told him, Tom, I don't know if I can do that, but if you put into practice what I teach you, you definitely would be the best version of Tom Brady. So who we've seen in the pros was manufactured and developed at the University of Michigan.
Wow.
And one of the things that Greg taught him, and the same thing God tells us, He tells us all the time, don't worry, right? Don't worry about tomorrow. He tells us that all the time. And the first things Greg taught Tom was control the controllables. He said, you want to transfer or go to another school? He said, you're just going to another place, but it's not guaranteed.
Right.
And I think Tom's dad wanted him to possibly transfer. But Greg and Tom decided, no, I'm going to stay here. And Greg told him, here's what I need you to do. He said, if they put you in practice and you run one play, that got to be your best play.
Yeah.
And just through stories like that, I can see the sovereignty. It's kind of like the book of Esther. God's name not mentioned in it, but His sovereignty and His providence is all over it.
Yeah.
So I like pointing out when I talk to guys like Tom or other people, I like pointing out that fate part that they may have not considered at that time.
That's so fire, man. Hey, y'all, I hope y'all really listening to this, man. He's dropping some gems that y'all like really take in your hearts, man. The sovereignty of God, crazy words, but in simple, like He got a plan for you. And you're right, man. It be fear. Yeah. It be the anxiety of not knowing. It be I don't know if I can trust something I can't see. I've never felt. But like when you describe, when you experience God, you like, I really hear that. Yeah. You take the chance on that, and you like, oh, this is Him. This is, man. I'm telling you, man. If you're gonna jump in all the way on anybody, jump in with Jesus. I'm telling you, it's gonna change your life. Yeah. But keep going though, man.
So once I found purpose, right?
Yeah.
Found passion. And passion and purpose go together. So all of a sudden now I live my life off the inspiration from inside and not externally motivation. And graduated my accounting degree, played my final year ended up playing 3 years. Played my final year while in graduate school. But the other part I want to talk about is the transference of belief. For example, I had a very good season. I led the nation in interceptions. And over that 3-year span, I had 20 interceptions at Southern. The last year, I tied the national record with 11 interceptions. My coach that allowed me to walk on at Southern, he says, Aeneas Williams is a good player, but I don't think he'll ever play in the pros because at best, he runs a 4.6 40. And for those that may not know about football, at 5'10 and a half, 190 pounds, at the cornerback position, 4.6 not going to cut it.
Right.
And so when I read that, and I say this to so many people who are trying to still deal with haters, right? They constantly focus on haters.
Even
right?
your head coach.
Exactly. And it wasn't a hater. He was stating facts. The facts was I ran a 4.6, but the truth was I had 4.3 in me. So after I read that, I didn't get mad at him and I'm gonna prove him wrong. What I did was something very intelligent. And by the way, the Christian faith is an intelligent faith.
Yeah. We're not dummies.
Yeah, the word logos means the intelligence of God. And another caveat I add to young people, spend time thinking. I don't think we spend enough time thinking.
Yeah.
Thinking begots thinking.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I'll use a rapper. Rappers do freestyle. So the guy, like, a lot of them guys will just sit in, they hear the music, then they'll just start
going.
Jay-Z is like that. They don't write stuff down. Lil Wayne, they don't write stuff down. Something is coming from within and they saying these things. The believers got a well like that.
Yeah.
Literally. If
Unlimited
we spend
well.
time thinking about my wife, the ladies' ministry tonight, it's going to be hundreds of women at our church. They're doing a 5-year from now party.
Wow.
Get that, a 5-year from now.
Now.
They're going to come dressed, acting like wherever they want to be in 5 years. And the manifestation of that kind of imagination, because our imaginations is powerful.
Yeah.
It's almost like it's been hoodwinked. It's been jacked from us, right?
Yeah.
And used for the wrong purposes, right?
Yeah.
But it's an amazing tool.
God's creativity
Yeah.
is way more. He implanted them things in us, and we be denying the creativity. Like you don't actually know how big it can get. You don't actually know how creative it can be. You don't really know, but because you blocking it, like you blocking the power. Like that makes so much sense.
Yeah. And to sit down and allow the creativity, allow things to come to you that in your mind may seem impossible, right?
Yeah.
If you had told me my freshman, sophomore year, hey man, you're gonna be among 382 Pro Football Hall of Famers and 185 alive, right? If you had told me that my freshman, sophomore year, I would have thought you were crazy.
Yeah.
I would have been mad.
He wasn't even
lying
playing
to
ball.
me. You follow me? Yeah. So going back to the transference of belief. So when I read that, I went to a teammate. When I read that, what my coach said about 4.6 40, those were the facts. I was 4.6. I was slow compared to that position. The first thing I did, I had a teammate. His name is Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas would be like modern day Usain Bolt, right? Brian 6'3", he ran a sub 10 100 meters, and he ran a 4.2 40.
Yeah.
He was a receiver. I lined up 10 yards in practice, and he's 1 year younger than I was. I could not cover him. He'd run by me. So as soon as I read that, I went to Brian Thomas. I said, hey, Brian, can you help me get faster? And just like I'm looking at you,
Humble.
he looked me in my eyes, and he says, Aeneas, you can run a 4.3 40. Now, all my life, I've been taught either you have speed or you don't. You certainly can't get your way from a 4.6 to a 4.3. I said, Brian, what do I do? He said, Aeneas, walk on the track team. Now, this is going into my final spring before I play my final season. I said, walk on a track team. He said, yeah, you walked on a football team. I said, come on. I said, what do I do? He said, get on the track, walk on the track team, and get next to me and do everything I do. And man, it's some of the hardest training I've ever done in my life. I just stayed with it. And then after practice in the early stages of it, I would be on the ground, like hurting, wondering if I'm coming back the next day. He would be walking around like he never worked out. And so that's January. And then we do pro day in April. I clocked a 4.3. And I was a second-rated cornerback in the country behind Todd Light out of Notre Dame.
Wow.
And where that's when I learned the power of the transference of belief. He believed it so much that he caused me to believe it.
Yeah.
And when you believe something, there's a corresponding action to it.
Yes.
If I didn't believe that I could, I wouldn't have ever walked on the track team.
Yeah.
So just that belief ignited something in me. And so over the years, even as I played football, the power of mentorship. And mentors are credible, successful others who've already done well what you're trying to do. We don't have to reinvent the wheel. I always hear the younger generation say, I got to figure it out. It's already been figured out.
Yeah, somebody did it.
It's already been figured out.
Somebody did it.
I like to use the example in the United States. I can teach a 12-year-old to drive around the country if they just understand how the system works.
Yeah.
Every odd 2-digit number, the highway runs north and south.
Yeah.
Every even 2-digit number, it runs east and west.
GPS already got him in the chokehold.
Exactly. But even if you don't have it, right, you still can, if you know the system and 3-digit numbers, it's a loop.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just knowing that, and that's what I found out the scriptures are full of.
Yes.
The principles and laws, not religion, by which, if I want to be a crazy statement like this in the scriptures, if you want a friend, show yourself friendly.
Yeah.
Right? Just little simple stuff, right? It's just so many simple nuggets that God placed in there, right?
Yeah.
Say love overlook insults, right? Just principles like that, and it's not religion. Here's what it says. If you want to have abundance, manage well what you have.
Yeah.
How about that? Just a little
real simple.
That sound.
The one bar in Proverbs got me thinking when it's to talk about the barn. Like if you want a clean barn, then you probably ain't gonna have no money.
Be productive, right?
But if you got a busy barn, it's gonna be a little dirty.
Yes. Yeah. So just having all of those, and that's the other thing about the scriptures. I realized God didn't give us a religious book. The understanding of the invisible laws, those 10, right? That he talks about, and those if we go against them, I don't care who we are. Pastors, doesn't matter. We are not going to have positive experiences. Man, you dope, man. You do a great job pulling things out.
I try. I do this, man. You know what's funny is that how I started this. A student came on campus, transferred, didn't even know me, and he just kind of like just kept coming around me. He was like, "Hey, man, I feel like we could start a podcast together." And I'm like, why you say that? And he didn't even know prior to him saying that years ago, 2019, the Lord put on my heart, like, I want you to start talking on media about me. I'm like, why would I do that? Like, my life ain't reflecting you for real. Like, I'm still living kind of crazy. He's like, nah, just start it. And I would go on my Snapchat story, my Instagram story, and I call it Meek Mondays. And I would just give like a little positive word. And I would get so much feedback. It would be crazy. And I would be like, Lord, this is wild. And he'll be like, yeah, I want you to like do it bigger. And I'm just like, nah, I feel too guilty about my life.
Right.
So I'm not doing none of that. I'm not doing that. And then fast forward 4 years later, this boy comes. He's on the basketball team. He comes and he says this. I'm like, oh man, the Lord did not forget about me. He didn't forget. And like, I need to be obedient this time around. And so like as I'm just hopping into this, I'm just like, oh, this is what he wanted me to do. Like he said to me, the enemy is discipling my children through his media. So you need to be a part of discipling my children for me on media. because it's so global. It's affecting everybody. You know, you could watch one TikTok and hear a word, and the word could be something crazy, something so wicked. But like people eat it up. See, look, Jesus not real because this science guy or this whatever or this teacher, and he's like, yeah, that's my point. So like now do it for me. So reveal to them me. Somebody's in their room scrolling, and they're anxious and they're scared and they don't know about me. They might see your clip, and they might surrender right there. So I was like, I'm gonna do it. And then that's basically how we got here today, man. So
Now, you know I'm mad at you, right?
You mad at me?
I'm mad, man, because you convicted me.
I'm telling you.
I was been supposed to start a podcast.
Mm.
Everywhere I go, people ask me about.
That's your word.
Yeah.
That's your word.
No, really, man. Before when I wake up, man, I pray my day. And I go down everything I'm gonna do today. And I call the name of every event where we are at this divine moment. And not only for the students, but for me, right? I'm getting just as much out of this podcast as you or anybody else going to get it. And it's not fluff. It's real life stories, right? Because stories stick. Right?
Man, I'm telling you. Stories stick.
Stories stick, man. And yeah, they stick, and just tell the story.
Yeah.
They old school they call testimonies, right?
Yeah.
But he says you overcome by the blood of the Lamb
and the testimonies
and your story, right? I know and the beautiful thing about, and let me also say this: you ain't gotta be perfect.
Man, it felt like it at first.
I know.
It felt like
condemnation, right?
Yeah.
None of us eligible if we got to be perfect, right? Yeah. Man, we got to take this off, man. I even as a pastor, I went through a period and dealt with something that I didn't know what was going on, and I was talking about something negative, a sin.
Yeah.
And I later, because the other thing God will do is give you root causes. Because a lot of times we may be dealing with symptoms. You go to a doctor, you don't want the doctor to treat your symptoms.
Right. Find the root, man.
Right. Find the root cause.
Yeah.
I don't want to keep coming back here.
Right.
It's the same way. Our Heavenly Father want to give us the root cause, because sometimes we're dealing with fruit and we haven't connected to a root. So for me, getting back in bondage in the area of my life had to do with not forgiving people from the heart.
Wow.
And I think it's one of the number one things that the enemy does with believers to stop their progress. And that is, for whatever reason, people forgive from the head, but they don't forgive from the heart.
Right.
And it's the one principle that he commands, even in the Lord's Prayer, after he says, and when you stand, forgive.
Right. Or else your Heavenly Father won't forgive you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then he tells a whole story in Matthew 18 that, okay, Jesus telling a story. He says, okay, there's a king, and somebody owes the king. So the king brings in all his servants. One guy owes him a bunch.
Yeah.
The guy can't pay it. He gets down on his knees. He asks for compassion.
Right.
King gives him compassion, right? Let him go, set him free. The guy gets free, then finds somebody, another one of his fellow servants.
His servant.
Owe him not even anything near what he owes.
Locks him up.
Right? Puts his hands on him, all that. And so Jesus telling a story. And he said, when the king found that out, how he treated his fellow servant, wouldn't forgive, called him back in. And he said, bind this man up, his wife and his children. So I learned from that, if a believer does not forgive, he is putting in jeopardy not only himself, but his family. And then Jesus says, so will happen to you if you don't forgive from the heart your brothers of their trespasses. And once I realized that root cause, I literally called the person's name and said, I forgive them, because a lot of people don't understand faith is activated by words.
Yeah.
God's power is voice activated. So I just said that person's name, and I said out my heart, I released them. I pray for them. I want nothing but good for them.
Yeah.
So I can get and cover that root, and all of a sudden the fruit begin to change.
Wow.
But I found someone, and I don't know how much time we have, but I found a key too. everybody needs to have somebody they can tell the truth to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm talking about the truth.
Yeah. James says, confess your sins with the saints, and you'll be healed.
Correct. Yeah.
Somebody you trust that you can really tell, like, this is what is really going on.
Yeah.
That's
what I pray over this old campus. That everyone would find. God would give every person somebody you can tell your truth to. Because when you're able to confess it, it's like spiritual vomiting.
Get this up out of me.
Yes, sir.
That's tough, man. I wish we had some more time.
Man, it's been fantastic, man. I appreciate it. I'm so honored to be here on the campus and be a part of what you guys have already built here. I just love the connection that I have with the students later on. Keep up the great work, man.
I will. Thank you.
Fantastic job.
Yeah. Well, family, this is it. I'm your host, Tamika Holness. This is the Journey Podcast. This was Aeneas Williams. Until next time, peace.
So if you've been ill and all that kind of stuff, I'm speaking right now, you healed. So whatever been ailing you, you need to start moving it around or something. Nothing may have happened yet. If I told you already blessed, all your debts paid, all you got to do is start saying, my debt's got to be paid. You don't have to know how it's going to happen. You just know it's going to happen. You just got to start talking like God talks. God say you the head, not the tail. You above it only and not beneath. Am I in the right place here? If your relationship is not doing so well, just start saying my relationship will get better. I had a major breakthrough with some people in my life. God did amazing work in their hearts. I couldn't do that, but I had to keep bringing them to the Lord. Be anxious for nothing, but in everything by prayer and supplication, let your requests be made known unto God.